I hate it when that happens.
No, no, I'm so sorry. Now it's recording. So once again, we start. Thank you, Speak and See, for uh, sparing your time with me. I know it must be quite late in Florida, but I invited you because I saw your reaction video on Pakistan's Army General Asim Muni's speech, where he said to the gallery of Pakistani, overseas Pakistani, whom he was addressing, saying that we maybe you are living in Western society, but don't you think ours is culturally superior? I don't know what parameters did he take into to compare the superiority. How do you see? Is that uh, coexistence, or is he making the us versus them, like Islam versus rest of the world?
Well, it was divisive. It was very one-sided, and you could tell he was talking to just one individual group. It wasn't like a somebody that was talking to everybody that wanted to hear this message, because only the people, like I said, in that room wanted to hear this, or not many outside that room were subscribing to what he was saying. But like we've heard people in the past, leaders, get up on the floor and take a podium and encourage and build up and talk about the future of what it means to be great. But he was just talking about Islam and how it's going to be great to be it's great to be Islam. Anything else other than Islam is not great, and we are the superior being. And now he's taking anybody who's not with him on this, with the way he's thinking on this, anybody who's not there, now you're down here. Now you're below us. Maybe you shouldn't have been born, because I've never seen, like I said, I've never seen before or heard. And I do speeches. That's my gig, man. I do speeches. I hear the greatness of words and historical of great leaders that are talking, and I grab that moment because there's so much to learn from it. Because people, what you hear is who you are, it's who you become, whatever you subscribe to in your mind anyway. But when I heard his speech, I was like, wow, this was really, who's he talking to like this? Because it just felt like he's not spreading the love and the power of the country. He's spreading a love for a religion so much that everything else is below you, and we are done with the rest of the world. We're outcasting everybody else. And to me, I just felt like this was weird, man. This is a weird speech, and I wasn't going to show it because it was just way off. And that's when the Palgam attack happened. And then I was like, that attack, this is why. Because they're being fed this guy's regurgitating hatred and death. And he's regurgitating it, and these people are clapping for it. Where's this coming from? How did we get here? So his speech to me was probably the worst speech in the world that I've ever heard. But it wasn't because he was stupid. It just sounded like he was just off in left land. But it was also one of the most powerful speeches because other people are listening to this, and it's taking seed and rooting into people's lives, and not in a good way.
Yes. Recently, we saw the visit of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who himself is a practicing Catholic or Christian. His wife is a practicing Hindu.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows the beauty of coexistence.
Exactly.
So, I mean, wasn't this taken as a cue that we all can coexist, we all can pray whomever we want, and then yet we can create families, we can create friendships, we can create bonds, businesses, a culture melu? Why a Pakistani general, an army man, would speak something like that, saying that we are inferior and superior? How, as a Western man, would you see that when he says that we are even superior than Western civilization? What went to your mind?
Can you imagine? Could I imagine the general of America, of the United States Army, getting up and saying something like this? we would have, I'm talking, we would have a revolution in our country, saying, wait, that's not your role. Your role is to do one thing, and that's to keep America safe. And when you're the general of an army, you're supposed to be watching out for the army. First of all, you're not supposed to be getting up and speaking who we're going to kill or why we're going to kill it. That's supposed to be passed down from you to from the people to the president. That's their job to decide this. But it seems like this guy had taken the role of God in that country, and he's got the weapons behind him. He's got not nearly as many as India. I would hate to. Well, I would hate to see him do that, but he's got way too much power to be dishing this kind of stuff out to those people, and it only just makes you wonder who's on his team. And the only people I would think would be on his team would be those with weapons or maybe getting kickbacks from maybe the military. I don't know, but I couldn't imagine hearing a general like talk like that in the United States of America or anywhere else.
Yeah. So when you saw Pahalgam, did you see the connection between the speech and the dastardly attack where people were asked religion? They did not only kill in Indian; they were all Indian for me, but their religion doesn't matter. They killed Hindus, they killed Christians, they killed everyone who was not Muslim. So could you see that this speech that he delivered, this venomous speech, and then the terrorists whom Pakistan have created over a period of time as a policy of bleed India through 1,000 cuts, taking a cue from his speech and then did what they had to.
Well, yeah, that's the first thing that went through my mind when I saw that Pahalgam attack. It was like, oh, the connection was there. It was like there automatically just from seeing the clip once at that time. And then we had studied it after that and realized that it was demeaning. But the way that connected was when that general, the words that he was saying, they carry weight. And you could see that happen on that day. Was it the 22nd? You could see the man's words coming into manifestation on that field. That's what he's talking about, people. That exactly what he was saying is what they did. Those four people that created all of this mess, four people. So yeah, there was a connection that was made that is very, very dangerous, and you will have whatsoever you say, and he said it, and they got it.
Yeah, I mean, it was so what you call heartbreaking to see in 21st century these kind of actions, where innocent humans who were having fun and frolic, and then they were simply butchered in the name of religion. And then Pakistan, instead of conducting an investigation, finding these people and putting them to the sword of justice, went ahead and again resorted to what we call oft-repeated formula of denial of any thing to do with it. They have done that in 26/11 in Mumbai. Hafiz Saeed, UN designated terrorist, still at large, makes speeches, goes to social functions, and then they did Kargil. They included their entire Northern Light Infantry in India and said that these are basically local Indian people. They are not our people. Later on, Pervez Musharraf in his own book accepted that yes, they were the soldiers of Northern Light Infantry of Pakistan's army. So this United States and the NATO forces have also experienced their double talk and their double standard and their rules, and then the deceiving you by making you believe you are a friend, but whereas a foe in disguise. What's the perception in your society regarding this kind of behavior where they pretend to be friends but they are not?
Yeah, we've seen that play politically throughout, last forever. That they're playing two sides of the field here, and that's the part of the United States that gets a little shaky. The United States gets shaky on this is because we have such an extreme left and such an extreme right that what there's no really common sense here in the middle ground on one, on one level playing field for everybody, where the majority of the people just want this middle ground somewhere to find it. But when you get somebody like Joe Biden that comes in and he's just gonna, feed the far left, and he'll jump on Islam's side if they're willing to pay him, and he'll jump on, Israel's side if they're willing to pay them. So it's a military sales thing we got going on here in the United States that needs to chill out and decide who we're really giving our weapons to. So I think that there's a big change right now going on with Donald Trump, and I've seen him now taking even a less back stand on Israel, because Israel might be getting a little carried away in their push. It might have gone too far, and so he's pulling back on them now. But with this Pakistan-India moment that we're having, I've seen even Vladimir Putin from Russia say, okay, we're going to continue selling India weapons. And I know that America is going to continue selling India weapons, and we're going to pull back on Pakistan. Now, Donald Trump isn't going to come right out and say, hey, we're going to quit selling to Pakistan, because he wants to stay neutral in this. With his words, he's staying neutral, and it's a smart move, because as a mediator, if you're going to mediate between a husband and a wife, and everything that the husband's saying is right, you're not going to go to the wife and say, and be the mediator and say, you're the wrong, you're going to try to be that man. But right now, America is 100% on India's side with this, and I think that when it comes to playing double faced, we don't get that as much with the president that we have right now as we did in the past. I think Donald Trump is more of a straight shooter, which is why the people voted for him, because he's going to do what he's just going to say it like it is normally, and if there's something that he can't say, he's going to keep it to himself. But he's not going to throw out lies to try to throw everybody off the scent of what's really happening.
Talking of President Trump, we have seen another phenomenon is called political left, or wokes, as you call them, where they vilify anyone who doesn't subscribe to their ideology. And we have seen that in the case of Trump, where when he was carrying out his political speeches for his presidential candidature in the American elections, people were so much victimized that he had to face a life attempt on his life was in line because of attempt on his life. So how do you see the left's behavior towards Islam, where they have given them more credibility, or given them more space in the politics of the nations than they should have, whereas they are not being that liberal to other faiths or other ideologies?
Yeah, I think there's a huge problem with that. When we go with thinking about will the left is what you're hearing from the right. First of all, let me just jump on the right side real quick, and then we'll go to the left. But what you're hearing from the right, the conservative views that I put out, I'm more of a conservative Christian man myself, but I know everybody's not, so I try to see both sides of the issue on this. But it's hard to see I can't see too far left. I can't go way that way. But when we see the right talking, remember this: anybody that's watching, whenever you see the right talking, they're not saying everything, because we're not allowed to. Because first of all, we'll get canceled on YouTube, or we'll get canceled on anywhere, but maybe X might let you do it. But the right is being canceled left and right. Like even the videos that I've put up saying the word terrorist. If I say that word, you might have to bleep that out of here. I'm not sure if you post edit or pre, but when you say that, just using the word, they will literally demonetize that video. They will cut you off there. First of all, if they don't not let the video go up, but if they don't agree with what you're saying, they won't let the video go up at all. So what the people are hearing out there from the right isn't really as far right as a lot of people would like to say. And what you're hearing from the left is as far as they want to go, they go. Yeah. They can throw anything out there. Like this man is a woman, that little boy is a little girl, and they can say whatever they want. They can spin the lie around, and here's the gig. If you jump on their team in America, I don't know how it works over there, but if you jump on their team and say, yes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to promote this, I'm going to propagandize the left as far as I can, you will become a superhero on any of these things. They will double monetize you. They will pay you, and you will become this icon. So that's what we're seeing right now. Is the left have all this weight and pull in the media, and the right are literally half gag ordered. They've got gag orders, they've got duct tape on their mouth, and they can hardly say what they want. But when they say it, and all we got to do is stick with common sense and the truth, really, without even going over that. When we stick with common sense and the truth on that part, without even giving our far right or right opinions, then you might be able to slide that in there. And it's very dangerous because it's the way that the globalists would like to see the world go. The globalists, and that's why I love India, and that's why I love Modi and Jay Shankar, is because they're against globalism. And the fight against globalism right now, the globalists are losing in every way, shape, and form. That they are losing. So when we see this Islam stuff come up, and nobody there to pound it and say this is wrong, then you're seeing globalism saying the reason why nobody's there to pound it is because they won't let us. On media anyway, they won't let us, but we still do it.
Yeah, and for some inexplicable reasons, the media is filled with left all across the globe. I don't know how.
Are they there too?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
really.
that. I thought it was just us.
No.
Oh, wow.
Media is completely in the hands of left. You won't believe. This is something inexplicable.
Really?
Yeah. So how do you explain that? What's up with media?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't think anybody with just a brain can, but they have an agenda. There's an agenda. There's something. There's a picture that they've made up a long time ago that they would like to put. They want to make the world look like this, and they want to have certain characters playing certain roles in it, and the media is responsible for how the world is going to look in the next 20 years and 30 years, and they're not deviating from their plan.
Yeah, that's something very interesting. Now, coming to the another part, that as an Indian, and I've studied in Germany, Switzerland, Singapore, China. As an Indian, when I go to Germany, I see the beautiful German culture, German churches, German architecture, and I get very happy that this is what Germany is.
Mhm.
If you take that out, it will not be Germany, right?
Sure.
So if you similarly go to UK and you take Church of England out and you take everything out and then put, I don't know what, mosque or something, that will not be England.
Yeah.
This is the Anglo-Saxon identity is core to the European identity. And when I go there, I enjoy these things. I don't want to destroy these things.
Right.
But when you see the Islamists go, and especially the Pakistanis, like what they did in grooming gang, we also have in India this phenomena called Rab Jihad, where the obsession to convert a girl, or I don't know why this kind of obsession is there. Why do you see this phenomena that they are not ready to accept the land or the people intricately related to each other, and they are hell bent to change it in the name of Sharia?
Yeah, they're not only hell bent to change it, but they're doing it, and people are, and it's so awkward that there's spaces. They're gathering in spaces and spreading out. That the spaces are letting them do it, because right now in Texas they have just, and in Florida they have just found a mosque that they didn't even know was there, and the people are saying, well, it's just a mosque, and they're starting to practice Sharia law on United States soil. So, and we're seeing that like over in the UK as well. They're doing it, and not only that, but when they're protesting, they're going to the streets and burning your crap down. And like you said, they're burning all the history down, and they're making their own history, which I don't think is going to end very well with them when they come too far with it. And like I said, they're overplaying their hand right now in the United States. They overplayed their hand, and that's why you saw Donald Trump getting voted in, because that hand was overplayed too much and way too soon. Give them another 20 years of continuing what they're doing, and they'll have it down. But why the countries are letting them is very poor leadership, and it's that far left that you're talking about that you're finding these people, these Islams, in those spaces, in those districts, and in those counties that are far left. And the way it works in America, I'm not sure if it works the same way in India, but The heavy populated areas in America, you find the far left. And that's where they all go to this heavy populated area, and there's no more space there in there. So there, it spans out and spans out and spans out, and it starts getting wider and wider and wider with more people. And before you know it, they're out in the suburbs and whatever, building mosques, and they're doing it right now. They're practicing Sharia law in spaces in Texas. So there's a huge right now protest against that. It's coming down. They're coming down and starting to pass laws that you cannot come and create laws when we have our own. But how they're getting away with it is because of the far left and the wokeism saying you can't tell them how to live. But the truth is, well, we've got laws for a reason, and they can't come here and change our laws, and which is what we're fighting against right now. I think the whole world, in some way, shape, or form, is fighting against this. And if they're not, then they've already submitted to it, and that's the way it might stay there for a while.
Yeah, and we should highlight or underscore here that we are not saying all Muslims are bad. There are good Muslims.
No, I'm not talking about Muslims in general. I'm talking about the far left and the Islamic extremists and the terrorists and stuff like that. Those people, the Muslims, like I said, we get along great with the Muslims here in America. They're like family to us, and I don't see any of them carrying around guns and making anybody do Sharia law. You see that on the news, but you see it from these odd places where they've set up camp, and the extremists are in those. But we've got to take care of these extremists, and that's exactly what I see Modi doing right now. Is he's giving a no tolerance to the extremism. He's tolerating every religion, shape, or form. Whoever you are, be who you want to be, and he does it in such a manner that I believe the world right now is looking at Modi as saying, what is he doing? See what he's doing. That's what we want to be doing here in our country. I would love to see somebody like Modi in America leading the charge that's not so crazy like Trump. He's a crazy man. Don't get me wrong. I voted for him and I like him, but he's a crazy man. He gets way off there. But Modi's more of that. He thinks in the same way business wise, but he's got so much more common sense, straight up intellect of spirituality and humanity of the everyday person that just wants to live and have a family and enjoy life. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Hindu, or whether
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
every God is a good God, so you are free to practice, and then it's none of the business of the government to invade into your privacy and look into who's your God.
Exactly.
So that's not any of our business. We are friends of because of the humanity, but the phenomena of Pakistan that must be talked about, because we have seen a pattern of grooming gangs, we have seen a pattern of disturbing the peace in different parts of the world. You must be remembering the case of Samuel Paty, the French professor who was beheaded for his teaching in the class in France, and this phenomena where the idea of non-tolerance by being in the land which is tolerant, because French are asking you to come in and then practice your religion, then they are showing tolerance. So using tolerance to undo tolerance, how do you see that in the Western civilizational perspective? That don't people normally feel threatened that, hello, I mean, I'm tolerant. Now you're making me intolerant because you're making me feel insecure about my life. And isn't that the reactionary play out that we see across the world, which left call the right wing?
Yeah, we're seeing that a lot in the United States, but here it's been like we've been tolerant. The United States people, the citizens, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Indian, no matter what color, what race you are, we've seen it to where we've all gotten along. But there's always, and believe it or not, the far left that wants to practice these ideologies, and we see gay people becoming Islam and the far left, and it's like, dude, if you went to any of those countries, they take your head off. And we want to thank India once again for taking out that terrorist that took out our Wall Street journalist a few years back. Thank you very much. But what we're seeing here is the right, the I used to be a Democrat when I was younger. I wasn't far left, but what it was considered far left back in the 90s, back in 2000, what was considered far left is now literally center. It let it's not right. It's not. It's just in the middle, and that's kind of where I want to stay. Is kind of in the middle. I'm not far right. I'm not way far left. But
Most of us want to be centered.
yeah, yeah. Everybody wants to more or less the center. But
Yeah.
but here the thing is, the people on the right now, or even in the center, are so sick and tired of even listening to the weird and the crazy and the far left antics that they're abiding to and subscribing to, like the Islam. It's okay to hurt people or to whatever, and they're go protesting for terrorists. We've gotten so sick and tired of it here in the United States that now the far right and the right are stepping up to the plate and saying, okay, that enough is enough.
Enough
And,
is enough.
and the beautiful thing about the United States is that they have a Second Amendment. I don't know if you guys got that over there, but we have a Second Amendment here, which is the right to bear arms. And that right to bear arms, it means that everybody in there, I mean, I could walk around, if you walk around my house and you're carrying a gun outside with an AK or something like that, you're going to have about 10 guns pointed at you, because everybody in their house has a gun and, a legal firearm, and they're carrying it. So for the United States to be taken over by any extreme group, as far as, violent with violence or anything like that, that's not going to happen without, it would be a never ending war. But what we're seeing take over more than anything is the media. The media is coming in, which is in everybody's house, and the far left have so much control over the airwaves and over what people are hearing that's more of a threat than any of this.
Yeah, so one more thing, because this night today, when in the morning when I woke up, the Indian news channels were all filled with war that is almost there. I don't know what's the reality, because I don't trust news that much nowadays. But they have like sounded the wiggle of the war, that this attack, that attack. You don't know. The situation is pretty tense. India is again at the verge of all-out war with Pakistan, and then. What I don't understand is the mix that the Pakistanis don't understand. I was the other day with one of the major of the Pakistani army. He came to a debate with me, a nice guy. So he told me that you basically attacked our mosque. But we were trying to say we did not attack mosque. This is not in our thinking. But the mosque as a breeding ground for hatred, terrorism, becomes a legitimate military target. We didn't attack the mosque. We attacked those people inside there.
Yep.
It just happened to be that they were in a mosque. Had it been a temple, we would have done the same thing. So, and then they attacked Indian Gurudwara and all those things. I think, do you think ideologically it will be possible to rewind and roll back the kind of ideology Pakistan has digested or has made the part of their social narrative?
The people are going to have to step up to the plate. I think the Pakistani people are going to have to step up to the plate, and we've seen that. I don't know if you've got on X very often, but I get on that. I think I find more reality news and what's actually happening on that than I do on the mainstream media anymore. But I've seen a lot of protesting going on in Pakistan. That Pakistan is just sick and tired of the way that they're being treated, and that like we said, even the Pakistanis have their center where you got your far left and your others. But I see the Pakistani people, a lot of them coming around saying, why did you get rid of our other president? Why did you arrest him? Because now you put in this, I don't know, this Sharia law guy that, but I see, I think Pakistan's got a lot of work to do, and I think that the people are going to come around. I really believe that there's 99% good people in the world and only 1% evil that we need to be taken care of. And I think the Pakistan people will come around to that.
It's the kind of Islam that we have in India, because these are basically Indian interpretation of Islam, right? There are three kinds of Islam: the Arabic Islam, the Turkish Islam, and then you have the Indian Islam. So the Indian Islam is very inimical to their own identity. They kind of look down upon their own culture and history from where they have converted, and they downplay it. And this is exactly what has manifested in the form of Pakistan. So their existence is about inhalating the Indian culture, and somehow the Indian history, because they tell their people they are Arabs. They don't accept that they are basically converted Hindus.
Mm.
This has created a lot of animosity of their own culture in their own people, which is very a unique case. So what is Pakistan is very difficult for outsider to understand, because I can only understand because I'm an Indian and I see the Pakistani mindset among us also,
Hmm.
where they say we are Muslim and only one identity is all, and that is Muslim. All other identities have to be vanished. All other identities have to be crushed upon because we are Muslims. I remember I was watching a show in American. It's called "What Would You Do" by social experiment guy. And in an episode, there was a army veteran. He was buying some food or something in a convenience store, and then the artist who had to play a role of a nasty salesman or something was saying something obnoxious to a man about his religion, Muslim religion specifically. And then after some time, the army guy steps up and he said that don't do that. So he said, "You're an army guy. You went to Afghanistan and fought against these Islamist jihadists and all that. And why you was objecting to this behavior?"
Hmm.
He said, "I precisely," and this was very touching, because I think as an army veteran, he might not have been a high PhD holder or that kind of educated man, but what he said was very heart touching. He said, "I went to fight with these fierces so that here you can practice whatever you want, right?
Mm.
In freedom." And that was very touching. So he stepped up, he took an exception to that and all. So that's what in India, what we are seeing is that there is a forces who wants to simply overrun our cultural identity and then change it to what we call Pakistan. So as an outsider, we are not for enemies of Pakistan. What we are saying that the society has gone completely wrong.
Mm.
What's your image and perception of Pakistan? Because Americans have also suffered in the war on terror, their dual game, the dual nature, and their ability to deceive and create a smoke screen of their actions.
Yeah, well, the America's image of Pakistan isn't the greatest. I mean, as far as the people of Pakistan, when we have Pakistan residents come over here to live, they're wonderful. But when we see the policies and how they handle they're to be quite honest, when you think Pakistan, you think terrorists. That's the mindset of most Americans. When you're thinking Pakistan, you're thinking the land of terrorists. And I think that's, of course, they're not all terrorists, but that's the perception that we get of them because of things that happen, like we just saw, and the things that have been going on there for way too long. And I believe that they've even come out recently and said, yeah, well, we're terrorists. We've been doing that for a while, but we're going to stop now. I don't know how easy you stop, but when Americans think about Pakistan, they don't think about peace. It's not our first thought. Peace and strength and economical strength and ideas and moving forward in the future, the things that you would want to see from a country, the uplifting of a country. But Pakistan's history is it's very tainted with terrorism, and I think that's the first thought that comes to most people's minds is that it's the government. There's so much control of the people by the government, and so much of that stuff that we saw with that terrorist speech going on that nobody is doing anything about. That's kind of dangerous. We consider them to be dangerous, a threat.
And they are, trust me, they are.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to sound like I'm being mean or too biased on it, but we can only go when it looks like a duck and acts like a duck and quacks like a duck. It's probably a duck, and that's the way that the people think about Pakistan is when it looks and when you don't get any good news coming from there ever, then there's a problem. So I just think that I think the people are being screwed. The Pakistanis, the people that live there, the citizens are getting screwed, and they need to step up to the plate, and they need to start taking charge of their country, or else, because the people who got control of it right now are not going to give it back. And the way it's going right now, as far as the economy, as far as everything, as far as they need to change, and it needs to happen quick.
Yeah, no, people of Pakistan, we're not against people of Pakistan. They're, of course, good. But yes, a large number have been very heavily indoctrinated and with a very high dose of skewed interpretation of a religion, which simply promotes animosity and hatred and evil things.
Hmm.
What my vision of world is that everyone has their home, like Europeans, Africans, Americans. They are living peacefully. If you are going in a society, accept their culture. You may not like it, but then that's their culture.
Mm.
Accept their language. Be one of them if you are being invited, or if you don't like it, then don't. But to go and then say, oh, they are lonely people, we are of a higher moral value, no one needs that.
No.
Everything is available, every teaching is available. People know what to learn and teach, they will accept it. So that's what I feel bad about when I was in Europe. Of course, if you say that white man thing, India and UK also had a past, but then that's a past. Now we are best of the friends. We just had a free trade deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Britishers are one of the finest people I've ever seen. English
And
is one of
and here's the thing about that is we get attacked for the past a lot here in the United States. The white people do, we do. There's a big thing against the white people right now. It's like a viral thing. People are just like, cool to hate white people. I'm like, dang, that sucks. but I have to say that the United States did some things wrong in the past, and we've taken a lot of steam for it, well deserving. The white people did. But my grandfather, great grandfather, was a Minuteman from Boston. And what he did, he was only like a 5'3" guy. He was short. But when Abraham Lincoln had did the Declaration Proclamation and all these other things, and we were fighting slavery, he was the first one in line with the Minutemen, not getting paid or anything, very poor, but to go fight to get this slavery, to abolish slavery. He went front lines, got killed. He wasn't a good fighter, I guess, but got killed right away. But he was fighting to abolish slavery, and that's what my great grandfather did. Okay, so when we're talking about hatred for the white people in this country, I kind of get a little bit leaves this bad. Like, why did he die? Just so that I could be hated, or my family could be hated. So it's like, yeah, I get it, because most of the people that had owned slaves back in the days were like that, were very wealthy, and they still are. But the 99% of the people who didn't, and were inside coal mines and making bread on a corner somewhere, they're the ones who went and fought, and they're the ones who 99% of them that still are running this country. So I'm okay with that.
To say the white people in general, that's a nonsensical thing. One individual here and there, or some individual here and there, are bad eggs in every society.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
to generalize it, to say white people, I have some white people, very good friends of mine, very nice people, be it American, be it Russian, be it everywhere. You have bad Indians, you could have good Indians, but to say every Indian is very
Yeah.
pretty generalization.
Yeah.
So I would also not go and then attribute it to the white people in the nation. White people have given the world so many things also, for which the world must be grateful to them. Some of the gifts of the making life easier has also come from the white people.
Yeah, we've given a couple good, couple bad,
Yeah, but that's all the transaction. We can't say everyone. That's what we're saying even for Pakistanis. There are good Pakistanis. There's no
Oh, yeah.
doubt.
100%.
But some of them are, I mean, I now think majority of them are on a wrong track, but then these some good Pakistani people have to step up and say that. So I would not go that far to say that white people in general are evil. I know not all white people are racist or they
Can
are
I
not.
ask you a question now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I'll let you take as much time as you want here. So, but anyway, as I was thinking about the attack in Pahalgam, I can't get this out of my mind, but you might be able to help me out on this, because I know India and Pakistan have had a long history, not a good one, right? So, but what happened that day? If Pakistan and their leaders would have taken another route and addressed it and reacted differently than how they did, would do you think India would have complied and gotten together with them and said, "Okay, let's try to fix this together," or do you think that India would have still gone as far as they did and went ahead with the
See,
Sindor?
force in terms of international relation or war or what these measures were not have certainly the part of transaction if the Pakistanis would have simply investigated, put the people, catch the people who were responsible, and then put them to the justice. Matter it would have ended, right? Because
Right.
again, we are saying that it's not all Pakistanis. But the thing is that what you when you are not using your law enforcement, rather you have created a lawless land where these people can come and talk evil about India, the Hindus, the Christians, then you are creating a hotbed of hatred, which will put everyone's life in danger.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, if the not only this 2611, for example, when after what you call 9/11, when Americans asked Mullah Umar, give us hand over Bin Laden, we'll go.
Mm-hmm.
If Bin Laden would have been put through the trial and then put to justice, matter would have ended.
Yeah.
So the the problem of Pakistani is a very poor understanding of a doctrine and the very obnoxious interpretation of a religion, which has made them hate them themselves, and they have created a society which is incorrigible as it look like,
Mm.
because the heavy dose of indoctrination make them unfit for any other society. When a Pakistani goes outside the world, outside Pakistan, I mean, he ends up doing what you call a grooming gang. Who does it?
Mm.
Would you ever do that just because a girl is Hindu? You will draw some kind of evil pleasure or have it just because the girl is belonging to a certain community? No one does that.
Mm. No.
No one does that. I mean, JD Vance and Usha, if they fell in love, they did not fall in love. How this is how I would make the other community feel bad. No, it's a pure love. That's it.
Yeah.
So, see, that's the problem: the self-hatred, the self-loathing, and then an interpretation of cultural superiority. It's a doctrinal problem. It's not a problem of what you call bad people. The
Right.
doctrine is a problem, and Europe has shown the way. The idea of constitutional governance, they need to understand. If you want to have a constitution, you need to separate what the Europeans did or the Kelson did, the separation of religion and the state.
Yep.
When you say religion, it means the religious laws.
Mhm.
You will have the spiritual laws left to the society, spirituality is left to the society. But when it comes to the law, now that's the job of state, and that's what the constitutional governance means.
Yeah.
You can't treat people, if you believe in Quran, and say that there will be no Muslim and non-Muslim. If you will run your governance on the basis of the Quran, then you have to say you can't be friends with Jews, you can't be friends with Christians, with the mushriks, and so on and so forth. But if
Right.
you want to teach your society that yes, you can be friends with Christians, Hindus, Jews, idol worshippers, non-idol worshippers, no worshippers, the only way out is to have a book which says that everyone is equal before the law. And this power will only come when the
Mm.
Quran is separated from its law. Quran will live for the spiritual purpose, but when it comes to all other legal and social transactions, it will be the constitutional governance. People will be equal. Everyone will be free to go to their places of worship. The state will not peek into what is their God, who is their God, or whether they are having a.
Right.
So this is the problem they have. They have to follow the path of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Europe's Enlightenment, Europe's Renaissance. What Europe has given to the world is unique. What in the form of Western civilization, I see it as a human civilization, right? Western civilization is a human civilization.
Mhm.
So humans can achieve something like this. Indian civilization has given the world a lot. Chinese civilization has given the world a lot. Western civilization has given the world a lot, and we all have benefited for being what we are, humans.
Yeah,
So that's how I see it. Pakistan need to do a doctrinal change in their society.
that's going to
That
take a while.
yeah, that will take a while. They have
Going to take a
weaponized.
while.
Yes.
And I've seen the like what you're saying is the doctrine, the separation of church and state.
Yes.
It needs to be separated because I mean when we're talking about a law, a church, churches. If I go to the Bible, this is the law that I've subscribed to. These are my morals. What's inside. You know, this
Yes.
is how I
Correct.
live my life. This is my thought, and this is my process. But I know that there's a natural law that when you go before a judge, he's not opening up the Bible saying, "Okay, here's what we're going to do." No, he's opening up the statutes and the laws that I got to abide by for that day. Now, and that's the I guess that's the difference here. Is that right? Where they literally open up the Sharia law and here's this is the Constitution.
Yes. Yes. So
That's a
you
dangerous
can't make
place.
the Constitution, Quran, the Constitution of the world. That's not possible. And then while interpreting it, you will also say it has a context. This verse came for this purpose. Because what happened, what was happening in 632 in Arabia, that was not happening in the 632 India, 632 Europe, 632 rest of the world.
Right.
What you're terming as Jahiliya, maybe the Jahiliya of Arabia, I don't know, because Mesopotamia was one of the finest civilizations. Egyptian civilization was one of the finest civilizations.
Hmm.
So to say that they were all illiterate, that's a different thing. But what you said, the birth of Kantian constitutional society
Hmm.
would only take place because the power to the people would only come. What the Europe understood in the 18th century is that when we shift the idea of political legitimacy from divine sovereignty to popular sovereignty,
Hmm.
so people become, so two sovereigns can't coexist. And God is a sovereign and people is a sovereign, then it's a blasphemy kind of situation. But when you have a constitutional governance that you say people are superior, people are the sovereign, and then when they have given someone right to rule, let's say you have chosen Donald Trump because you have voted for them. You're saying, I've voted for them. So his legitimacy comes from your vote. Or now let's say I come there and I say, hey, I've spoken to God. And God has told me that you are supposed to do the word. And I go and simply take out Donald Trump and say that this is, you have to accept my legitimacy. And you say, who are you? You can't even talk in my language. You don't know my culture. You don't know my food. Who the hell are you to rule us?
Hmm.
He said, the only legitimacy I've got is a sword. That's the problem. So Europe's gift, one of the Western civilizations' greatest gift, apart from the scientific marvels that they have created, for example, internet, something which we have connected, is the Western civilization's gift, is also the constitutional governance for the Western society, and which most of the society had now accepted. And then the idea of nation state or the corporatized state, where the territories are perpetual, inviolable. It was created by them. If you read the ancient Indian text, we had this concept when we used to say this is the Indian territory and the people from outside are not Indian, they are outsiders. So we understood it. That's why Indians are very much, when I go to Europe, and I do not want to change Europe. I want to see those beautiful churches, that architecture, Gothic architecture. It
Hmm.
makes me feel very good. It makes me that,
Yeah.
oh, this is beautiful. Right? I
Hmm.
want to see that. I want it to preserve. So that's how, because Indians have been what the constitutional governance of Europe, which was Renaissance, we had that. When we
Yeah.
say that people are rooted to their culture and governance come from that, there should not be universal governance. Nowadays, there is a universal governance in form of UN Charter, which is protecting diversity, protecting the human, what you call heritage of all kinds. So
Right.
we all have similarities more than the dissimilarities. Unfortunately, humans have become addicted to looking into dissimilarities, but more commonalities are there. which is to be celebrated. So I don't see Western civilization as
That sounds kind of hypocritical, though, for the Pakistan government to say, okay, we can you got to abide by the Quran, by Sharia law, and all this other stuff, but we're also going to abide by the laws of the UN. We're going to by the monetary IMF and all these things. Like, they're allowed to do these things, which are governed. They're allowed to sign peace treaties, which are governed, and that's all that's not the Quran, but they're doing it. But when the people want to go out and say, well, I want to do this, it's kind of, you know what I mean? It's like the government can do whatever they want, whether they practice it or not. But if the people are out there practicing something other than what's in the book, what's the difference with that? Where in the Quran is it said the UN is sovereign in they're abiding by the UN? So it's like they're doing it. I mean, aren't they?
Yes, they are being hypocritical. That's the outright way. So that's what I'm saying. You are going to the other people's land. You don't want to accept it, other people's land. You go to Sharia, then you go to Quran, or you invoke Quran that I want to live by Sharia law. Why do you want to live by Sharia law once you are in US? What's wrong with the US law?
Mm-hmm.
You have to submit it to the law.
And there's not one law. There's not one law in the UN or a statute of any kind that subscribes to Sharia. If you're practicing Sharia law, you are breaking almost every human rights law in the world. So for them to say, okay, we want to have a state that can break every one of your laws, where does that fit in? We see them even trying to get into the BRICS right now. But India's destroying all that. They're literally destroying all that with Pakistan and China. Pakistan and China are a mess right now. They're in shambles because now China's helping Pakistan. They're trying to build the BRICS. The BRICS is trying to de-dollarize. India's going up in the dollar. Russia's going to be going up in the dollar here very shortly, and they know it. So they're not trying to de-dollarize, but they want to take these dollars and bring them into the BRICS. But the only people going to be doing that are going to be India and Russia, and maybe a little bit of Brazil. But South Africa is having problems right now. Pakistan trying to get in, and China helping Pakistan right now is not a good look. China is being destroyed monetarily right now, and they're trying to save face. And this thing that Modi just did with Pakistan and China having to do that, this is throwing China way off. They're kind of confused right now at all this. And I think Modi's a genius. He's a freaking genius for what he has just done as far as taking the lead, literally took the lead in the BRICS right now. Them and Russia are going to be walking in front of Xi Jinping. I think that's his name. But they're going to be taking the lead in this. And if anybody's going to be building the BRICS from here on out, India's taking that lead. They're taking the role.
Yes, and we don't want de-dollarize because India is sitting on 7 billion reserve. Mm-hmm. That don't make any sense. If that currency is there, let's trade in that. Why to de-dollarize something? And as I said, India sees itself as a ally of everything, not as an enemy. And then the problem with the Chinese is that, again, the same thing, either my way or highway. That's a problematic way in this world. That's not how the world gonna behave.
No.
Rule of law in the house and the rule of law in international relations, you have to abide by that.
Yeah.
You can't be your own law. That
100%.
kind of freedom is not possible in the world. We have to play by the games, by the rules, by the rule of the games, and then learn to coexist.
That's it.
So speak and see. What's your good name, if I may ask for?
Speak. Just call me Speak.
Okay. So Speak, thank you so much. It was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed your reaction video and your experts' comments. And I was so much, impressed that I thought I have to contact you. And then I went onto your Facebook page and contacted you. Thank you so much. It was lovely to have you in this discussion. It was simply outstanding.
Yeah, it's been fun, Mishra. Did I say that right, Mishra?
Yes, that's my surname. Yes, that's correct.
Is that what you like to be called, Mishra?
Yeah, I'm fine with Mishra. Mishra is my family name. Abhishek is my given name.
Okay, Abhishek.
Yes.
Abhishek.
Yes. Abhishek.
It was a pleasure to meet you anytime, brother. Just give me a shout.
Yes, we'll do it more.
This was fun, brother. Have a good one.
Yes, you too. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
You too.